Okay, guys. So, just in case, if you have not, done any live training with me before, if you haven't attended any of the courses on color training or something like that, I just want to give you a little bit of just a way how we do it. I'm gonna go like through all of this through the demos. I have a little plan for us today. It is really going to be an introduction. I'm going to assume that you are using Colourlab Ai for the first time, and most people do. And then once I do the kind of the plan, then there's going to be enough time for Q&A where you can ask me specific questions, anything that is particular to your workflow. And also suggestions. I'm really adamant that this application should be serving your purpose and what you're doing with it, not the other way around. And everything that you've seen developed inside this application was added as a feedback that we had from our initial group of factory drivers. And and I really want this to continue. I want this to be like an application that is going to be jointly developed between you who are using this application and making it usable for you, and us that really trying to kind of serve really one purpose. We want to make color grading simpler, and we want to just optimize our efforts, when we are color grading, to remove stuff that is too technical, too difficult, and for us to be able to focus, to be more creative. This is really what it's all about. It is just going to get more and more difficult, in color grading. We're going to have to do more grading in less time. The picture is going to have to look more beautiful all the time. And, how we're going to do this, we just need to start using better and smarter technology. And really, this is what this technology is all about. We're trying to just somehow accelerate this process and bring, this wonderful AI, into this. It's just so powerful that I only think we're at the beginning to what's going to be possible. As people are just rolling in, I'm just waiting a little bit more. Do we have like about, I don't know, we are over 100 people already. So just bear with me, as everybody's just coming and joining. Oh my God, Silicon Arts. Very good. This is my neighbors here. I got some neighbors as well. My God, perfect. Okay, let me just give you a little plan to what we're doing today. So it is an introduction to Colourlab Ai. Okay, we're going to really just be using application as if we open it for the first time. I'm going to explain to you, number one, how it works. So, I'm going to explain a little bit that. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is what is similar, between Colourlab Ai and other color grading applications. And right now, you've probably seen we are aligning ourselves primarily to DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is absolutely fantastic and beautiful color grading application. And we are, working very closely with DaVinci Resolve. So this is, probably I'm going to try when I'm talking about to show you like how shortcuts are same. But, similarity between color grading applications is general. So I really want to kind of show you really how similar we are with all of that. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning what is different, because there is something significantly different between Colourlab Ai and everything else. And I want you to really understand it and see what is the difference and how you're gonna, be able to benefit from it and how to utilize it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go and, import a little sequence. We're gonna then make a look for that sequence. We're gonna then match that sequence. And then we're going to look at like a variety of options, how we can export and what we can do with it. So this is like a little plan that we got for today. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start, God, there's more people coming. God, very good. Okay, let's start with the first step. So if you don't have already Colourlab Ai, I would invite you to download a trial and follow along. So to download the trial, you just go to Colourlab Ai and then /free-trial. And all you need to do is just enter your name and your email, and you're going to get in your inbox a link to download the trial. That everything I'm going to be doing here today, you're going to be able to do with the trial as well. There is nothing that is limited. So every little step of the way you can do with the trial as well. Okay, so let's basically start with that. So I am going to now just switch to my Colourlab Ai. When you first open it, you're presented with this launch window, and there you can get access to knowledge base, to some videos, and also you see there are like some users, some professionals who are using Colourlab Ai that are demonstrating it, how to do it. It is also very much linked within our plugin, which we call Look Designer for DaVinci Resolve and Grainlab. So it is going to be like quite a few kind of really interesting things here. But if you want to start working along with me, once you have installed the trial, there is this button here called Sample Project. And if you click on that, you will download exactly the same files that I'm going to be using for training as well. And you can then just start working with those as well. Without further ado, I'm just going to close this window now, and I'm just going to go and move on to the, the first step. And the first step is going to be, let's import some media. And, it's the first button, so like it's very easy to find it. First button on the left, you just click on that, and that will present you with I'm going to be using, as I said, the sample project. So you just go and highlight, all of those files that you want, and you just click open, and it's going to go and bring it in. And the first thing then that happens that you're presented with is a window, which is basically camera profile window. So the Colourlab Ai is color managed. And what that means is that everything that we do needs to be color managed. We can't work non-color managed. It's just the kind of, that we have kind of, forced you to color manage, because we believe that color management is one of those simple things that really accelerate the workflow. But we also want to make this color management simple. So what we did is we have developed this window, which is going to really automatically recognize all of your media. As long as it's original camera media, you don't have to do anything. It is going to recognize it for you, and it's going to apply all the right settings for your camera there. If you ever want to modify any one of those settings, there is a button here which says default IDTC camera profiles. And for every camera that we support at the moment, you have an option to select what is the correct profile that you want to use for it. Okay, so for example, if I'm going to be using ARRI, I can select ARRI or Log C. If I'm going to be using some archival footage, I can select, it's the Rec 709 or something like that. If I'm on Canon, I can select any one of these options. If there are any options or any cameras that you don't see here, let us know, and we're going to add to it. I mean, the list of these cameras is expanding, but it might as well expand. We were first thinking, oh my God, how many cameras are? Now we have just kind of accepted the fact there's so many cameras, and we're going to be supporting them all in every flavor you want. Now that we have this window to manage this, it's just going to be absolutely easy to do it. Here you can change the thumbnail size, and what you see here is a preview to what really this file is going to look like at the moment. So what I need to do now, I have here one unknown camera, but that's not necessary. I want to assign, these clips to a camera. So what I'll do then is I want to say, hey, here is a plus, give me a new camera. Okay, this camera type is going to be red because this footage is shot with red. I'm going to call also this camera red, and automatically suggested, hey, do you want to work in IPP2? Yes, this is exactly what I want to do. So what you do then is you then just go ahead and you select, shift click on all of the clips. Okay, you can actually just, select all of them like this if you want to, right? And then you go and you drag it and you drop it onto your camera you just created. Now you see straight away a preview. What does this IDT do to you? Okay? Because we have to do this manually, because you see the file names are completely different. These are some file names 05702, which is when transcoding process, they've been renamed by, and by the way, all of these files are coming from raw film, like it's a you know, image library and that we are using and that we partnered with, and we absolutely love, you know, their shots, and we super want to thank them for, you know, helping us and supporting us. However, some of these cameras are not ready. If you see, like, you know, this shot here and this shot here, they look to me more like they are like some sort of you know, DJI shots or something like that. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to you know, change the, but to do that I need to first tell it, hey, I have also a DJI camera. Okay, this is my DJI camera, and I'm going to also call it a DJI, right? And now actually this shot and this shot, can you please apply an IDT for DJI? And it's already done that. Okay, so that way you see, you can also check, maybe, you know what, maybe somebody didn't shoot it in log, maybe they shot it in Rec 709. You can also see that, is this the potential way, you know, so you can quickly just flick and see the shots there are. Here is the number of the shots that have been selected. And then you see when I click on one of the cameras, the blue around them indicates the IDT for that particular camera. So you see that little blue here tells me, oh, these are all the red shots. Okay, so this is me kind of just quickly sorting it out, you know, and getting it all done. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to roll now. And now the files have got onto my timeline. Okay, let me now explain to you a little bit the interface and how, you know, how Colourlab AI looks like. Let me just let more people in. Okay, there is more people rolling in. Fantastic. Okay, great. So the first window here, the main window, is the main viewer. Okay, and this main viewer is where you're going to see, like, you know, what is really happening, you know, what is going on. You can scroll through it, you know. If you want to loop a file, you just click here and then it's going to loop it. And when you press play, it's just going to loop that particular file and so on. Okay, you know the score. This is just, you know, as you know, normal. Nothing really is different there. However, there is one very important shortcut you need to know for this. And these are your numeric keypads on your keyboard. So you're using your left hand and you type 1. And with 1, as you can see here, it's also indicated, it's this flat view. Okay. 2 is the standard Rec 709 output. Okay. 3 is the show look. We're going to see when we apply show look what that is, exactly how it works. And 4 is this view here, is show look and your primary color correction. So that way you can very quickly flick between any one of different views. Sometimes you want to only see Rec 709. Sometimes you want to see flat. Sometimes you want to see this and that. So basically it's kind of, you have an option to kind of very quickly, you know, so it's not just with grade and after the grade. It's like, you know, hey, I want to see no grade. I want to see Rec 709. I want to see with show light and I see with CDL. And it's a very quick way how to like navigate between those two like that. Okay. The next thing then that we have here, actually, you know what, guys, I'm actually going to go and start recording this just in case if, you know, people later want to rewatch it. I'm just going to go and record it as well. Okay, cool. The next thing then that we have is we have like timeline here, okay? And timeline works pretty much like DaVinci Resolve timeline. So what you do is you move, you know, with your keyboard, and you have an arrow up and down on your keyboard, which is same like Resolve, and that is going to allow you to jump through your clips. And with arrow left and right, you then have ability then to move, you know, your clips left, you know, like a frame by frame. Okay. Another important shortcut for the timeline is letter M. So when you press M for a marker, okay, what you do, you create a scene. Okay, if you ever want to delete that scene, then here on the left, or sorry, on the right, all the way, you can say merge and it deletes it. So I can press M and I've just applied basically a marker. And then here I can come and I can also then apply another scene, M for a marker. Scenes are important because they are really going to help you like a limit matching to particular, you know, sets of shots that need to match, because not everything always has to look the same. With scenes, you can then bracket your timeline a little bit, say, hey, I want to match this shot, I want to match this shot, I want to match these shots. And by the way, if you're using Alt, okay, Option and arrow up and down, you can jump from scene to scene. So that's a quick way how to just go from scene to scene and jump like that. So this is another like a really useful, you know, shortcut for that. Okay. Now let's move to this window here. What you see here is all your reference views. You as a colorist, you need to compare shots. And this is, you want to look at, analyze shots. You want to compare them. You want to bring references. You want to analyze what they are. And this is really, all of that is going to be happening here in this viewer on the right. Okay, so when you click on this one, you can see flat Rec 709. This is the view which is called for selected shots. Then you have a view which is called all shots. And here, as you can see, we have all the shots in your sequence visible in one go. Or you can just view the scene shots, which is just particular active scene that you are on at the moment. So if I was now to move to another scene, like now, like this, right? I can then, okay, I need to go, maybe I need to go backwards. It only shows me that particular scene. So sometimes you just want to look at the shots in a scene. That's all you want to do, right? Then you have the selected shot view, like that you've seen now, okay? And then you have also a reference frame. So what is the reference frame? So you see here, Colourlab Ai has automatically put a little green bar on top, probably thinking, hey, this is your reference shot for this one. And it's trying to guess what is your reference frame. The moment I start grading something, it moves that shot, you know, makes the shot reference. So for example, if I was to click on this shot, and I was trying to do a little bit grade on that, you see it will automatically assign that shot to be reference. I can also tell it manually, hey, no, I want this shot to be reference. And to do that, I can even park on a particular frame. I say, no, this is the right frame. And I say, press R. And when I press R, this particular frame of this shot is going to be the reference for this scene or for anything else, maybe for the whole timeline. You decide. This is a crucial part of color matching. You know, if you want to be successful with color matching, you need to really choose the right reference, because, you know, system is still just a computer. So, you know, it only, you know, knows what you tell it, what's important. So you have to always choose like a shots that have a composition and colors inside that best display to what really you want the rest of the shots to look like. And, you know, we always try to kind of, you know, encourage you to maybe see like, you know, which particular shot in the sequence is the hero sequence. Most experienced colorists have been doing it already. You know, most experienced colorists would look at the scene and find like one with maybe with a close-up or something like that to be their reference shot, maybe wide for wides and so on. So it's not nothing unusual. Like, you know, this is a very normal concept. Okay. So now I have got these references going. Now let me now move on to this, you know, area here. This is like where all the color is going to be happening. So here, and you can use tab. So if you press tab on your keyboard, okay, you can then cycle through all of those different settings. Okay, by default, you have first color wheels, but let me start from left to right. Okay, so first is shot settings. This, by the way, is how the image is being processed. So like, you know, it goes from left to right to, you know, how we are applying processing to an image. So the first thing it says, hey, what's the camera? This is your IDT. Okay, what's the camera profile? You can also manually still decide if you want to change it. You can change it on clip by clip basis. You don't always have to go into camera profile. Camera profile, think about this when you change everything for the whole timeline. Here you can go and adjust things clip by clip. If this was a raw file, you would also get here controls for raw files like ISO, white balance, and anything like that. Okay, and here, if you're working with anamorphic footage, you can also decide, you know, how to do and set this up. Here is another very useful feature. It's called Kamut Limit, but we're going to come a little bit closer to that later. The next tab is called Printer Lights. Okay, and you know, it's the staple of kind of, you know, original color grading, and many cinematographers love to work like that. And the reason why they work like with printer lights is because they operate in actual stops. You know, they're not like a live gamma gain, they just give you numbers. With printer lights, I can tell you exactly how many stops I'm moving it. you know, and that's really what cinematographers like. You know, they go like, well, you know what, I think I want to make this just a stop brighter, for example, you know. And what you do then, you have also, by the way, shortcuts on your keyboard that are identical to printer light shortcuts on DaVinci Resolve. So for example, a plus and minus, yeah, is going to give you like a, you know, like a look, plus is now increasing my printer lights, all of my printer lights. And if I go 8 points, that is 1 stop. So that way you see you have like a really good control, you know, how to move between those. And if you then press enter, right, that is going to reduce the amount of printer lights. Now, you can also change it. You can say, well, I want to press shift and plus, and that is going to increase in a 0.5 point. Maybe you want to be just a little bit more precise. And then if you press Alt and plus, right, it is, oh, sorry, no, Control and plus, it is going to be a 1/4 point. Okay, so you can increment again if you want to fine tune it. Now you say, no, I want to go even finer than that. Then you press Shift and Control and plus, and that will go in an 1/8 of a point. So you can go, you can be as precise as Roger Deakins would like you to be precise. Basically, I think he was the one who kind of says, I can see 1/8 of a point. I believe he does. I'm not sure. So you can also, by the way, operate just with your keyboard and mouse, and the same shortcuts, Shift and, you know, Control, you know, they all function in the same way, you know, so you can use them as well, and Shift, Control, and click with your mouse, they operate in the same way. Okay, so this is, and if you ever want to reset, you click on one of these buttons before, or you want to reset all of them, you just click here. By the way, what we also do is a lot of us, you know, who use Colourlab daily, we're using a Stream Deck, because Stream Deck really allows us, you know, to maybe map these kind of printer lights to like a more like, you know, convenient button if you hate using keyboards, right? You know, so you can just have a Stream Deck do that as well. It's beautiful, very fast. You know, some of our clients, you know, who are like a larger facilities, they limit their use, you know, daily colorists to use only printer lights and so on. So it's a kind of very popular feature amongst the high-end customers. Okay. The next thing we have is the color wheels. Okay, now you probably know color wheels, you've seen it. What we did is we wanted to make these color wheels work even if you don't have a control panel. Controls panels that we support are tangent, and all you have to do, just plug the tangent in and it's just going to start working. You don't have to do anything more than that. Okay, so let me show you how color wheels work. They are by default very precise. So if you move the, you know, like a, you know, anything on the controller, you see it moves very smooth. Okay. Now we have an opposite setting. If you want to move very fast, then you press Shift and you move, and then suddenly it starts like really flying around. But sometimes you want to be even finer than what we have here. If you want to do that, then you press Option, Alt. And look, when I press Alt, then I'm even finer. Then I have such a fine granularity to how I can move my mouse and how fine I can adjust it. So actually, like, you know, we really want you to be able to use this even without control panel or anything. And I want to give you that precision that you really need sometimes to fine tune your lift gamma gain, to get it really right where you want it to get it. Okay, here is just a kind of like in DaVinci, you have a wheel to lift just to, let's say, gain. But also, by the way, you can click on the number here and you move your mouse left and right, and you can just change, for example, a little bit the red channel. Sometimes you want to have to do some fine tuning, and you can just do that as well. So this is also like a, you know, a beautiful way how to tweak it further. What we also added is, of course, saturation, right? We have saturation there. But another thing about it is a contrast, okay? So look, I can just use the contrast. What is really interesting to know is that this contrast is fully CDL compliant. That means if you adjust contrast here, any other application that supports CDL will be able to understand your contrast setting. And that was always important for us. You know, Colourlab needs to talk to every other application on the planet. We need to be able to be compatible with everyone. And no control that we're going to put in is going to put you out of that. You're always going to stay compatible with it. You also have a pivot. And another setting here is called temperature. And it's also similar to DaVinci Resolve. You can adjust the temperature. Sometimes you just want to cool or you want to just warm an image. And it's much easier to do it like this on a temperature dial than, you know, like try to kind of fiddle around with your lift gamma gain. Okay? So that's kind of, when it comes to these controls. Next control is called match settings. I will come closer to that. This is more advanced. This is when we start doing fine matching and extracting looks. So we'll come back to that. This is when we're going to be using that. And then the next tab is called show looks. Okay, this is where a big magic happens. Now what we got included is these profiles. We have some, Dado Digi profiles, that are based just of simple digital looks. And then I have a lot of film stock emulation. I'm going to go and explain to you a little bit in the detail how that works in a minute. Okay, then we have a last part of the application, the fourth window here. And this window is your kind of references. In our case, it's a scopes. So if I click once on the scopes, you see, waveform, and this is source, right? And the reference, okay? Then if I click one more time, I have a RGB parade, like a source and the reference. You see there is a yellow line in the middle. I click one more time, I have just a waveform. Okay, you can also make those changes if you click here on this little wheel, and you can just change it, there, and select which view do you want to have. We don't have a vectorscope right now, but we're going to have it. It's in the works. It's happening. Okay. The next button here, the next tab here is called gallery. Okay. And the gallery is where you save your looks. This is like that. And you see any project you ever worked on, you can see what you have saved. Any project you ever worked on, you're going to be able to access it. So it's not like in DaVinci Resolve that you can only access your gallery of the project you're working on unless it's in power grades. In our application, every gallery is power grade. So to say, you can always go and adjust anything and see those grades anytime you want. And what's also cool is you can also go, for example, and make them favorites. And if you do that, then it's very easy to find them because they are listed under favorites. Okay. And what's also cool is you can tag them. You can click on this and you can say, oh, you know what? Let me add a tag, and then let me see, maybe I have already one, which is called cool. Yeah, this is definitely cool look. You can tag it whichever way you want, right? And now this particular shot, right, is now tagged as cool. So if you look at my cool tag here, I have it listed there. And by the way, if you click here on plus, you can create a new tag, okay? So you got like, options to do that. Now, how do you save something in a gallery? Of course, that's a very important question. It's like this. You just press letter G for gallery, okay? So I just press G, and the moment I do that, it will jump to this project tab, and it will show you this look. There is something very specific about our gallery as well. It is not just saving you the look you have. Of course, I can just click on the clip and I can just say, okay, copy it. And it's going to copy exactly that setting, which is what we use to work with the gallery. You just copy the setting. There is another important feature. If you right mouse click on it, it's going to say match to shot look. So I will show you that in a minute. We're going to go and explain this. How does this also matching work? So it's a good way for you to do it. And you know what? Just feel free, since application doesn't have a lot of undos, to use the gallery for that. All it takes is just press a G and you're saving yourself work in progress. This is how we go along. Okay. The last tab here is called reference stills. This is the source of your inspiration. Okay, we are treating stills as a source for your matching, and this is really what we can do. So I have more people. Sorry, I have more people coming in. Just letting them in. Okay, and to make the things simpler, we have also included a button here from the best stills library on planet Earth, and it's going to continue to grow. And if you click on Shot Deck, I won't do it now because it's going to open my browser in the background. It's going to take you to Shot Deck website. You log in with your account. It's free to register. And you see, like, for example, I have included tons of interesting, still images here. And, there is nothing more rewarding, and there is nothing that, pushes your creativity more than looking at beautifully shot images from other cinematographers and directors and really, you know, seeing the difference, seeing what they look like, being able to compare the tones and so on, and really able to do that. And you can build in the same way like we have in a gallery. You can build yourself tags, you can build yourself looks, you know, like you can build yourself mood boards, you know, you can totally do some research with it and so on. So you have like honestly, guys, you have so many options, you know, to how to make all of those stills and galleries, you know, be part, you know, of your day-to-day workflow, basically, of, you know, how you're going to be, you know, able to you know, just get sometimes that source of inspiration as well. Or it could be that you just got a still image from a director who did, you know, something in Photoshop, in Lightroom. This is also what they do. And you kind of want to just match that as well. So this is just another source. Okay. Now that I explained to you everything, I've kind of was pretty good in showing you what is, you know, same, you know, now I want to show you what is different. Okay, so let me show you what is different with Colourlab. Okay, so let me show you this. Normally, all color grading systems operate like this. First, you have a control panel, some sets of controls, and those sets of controls are accessing a source image, and then they are giving parameters to an image processing unit, you know, so there is a piece of an algorithm that is going to change image based on your controls, and you get then a graded image results. So you, as a colorist, you have to, you know, main and operate controls. So I call it is like driving a car. You sit down, you press the clutch, you put it in the first gear, you do an indicator, and you drive. Okay, so that's exactly how it works. All right, now let me show you what is different. Different is this. We have a unit that is incorporating computer vision, and computer vision is like a, you know, relatively, you know, powerful today, is extremely powerful, and it's a technology that's not so new anymore. It's been around for almost a decade, and in the last maybe 3 to 4 years has improved significantly. Okay, and you probably have seen many different uses for computer vision. What's important to understand, computer vision does not do any processing. Computer vision is just analyzing image, and it's telling us this is what's in the image. Okay, so think about it. If you want to build autonomous vehicle that's going to drive by itself, you need to first put computer vision inside, because there have to be cameras around the car that will monitor what is happening around the car. And this is exactly what we did. We built a special model. And you know what? We tried every existing computer vision model out there, and none of them has worked, because they're all trained on photographs. I mean, you look at it and there is 1,000 photos of cats and dogs and stuff like this that these models are trained on, or chairs, or I don't know what's inside, right? No, we need to kind of have a cinematic content, like the content you've seen from ShotTech. So we had to go and train our own model. And we had to say, no, we want to know what's lighting. Is it wide? Is it close up? What is inside? So our computer vision model is very specific, and you won't find it anywhere else. This is the core of kind of, you know, smart development. Okay. Then this computer vision model is going to say, hey, this is what's in the image. And that passes it onto a unit that is like a logic unit. This is what we call a kind of, this unit is using what we call some deep learning algorithm, okay? Not machine learning. It's deep learning is a little bit more sophisticated than machine learning. And deep learning is able to really, like, you know, analyze image on a completely different level. So what this logic unit is going to say is this: hey, I can see the reference that you want, and I have got information from my body computer vision unit, what's in the shot. How about I try to find what's the right control panel settings for you in order to get the graded image? And that's really what happens. A logic unit starts looking for different options, and then based on the analysis and comparison between the two, comes up with a CDL setting, lift gamma gain setting for you. It says, this is the setting that I believe comes the most. Now, how do we know if this is the right setting? Well, we don't, but we have analysis methods that say this is potentially like what we think it's important, how these images should match. So we can analyze contrast, we can analyze color, we can analyze brightness, and so on. Okay, and this is what we call color matching models. Color matching models are almost like this kind of teachers that analyze the result of the logic units and say, hey, I think you scored well. This is the model that I'm going to be using based on these parameters and these parameters. So what is really different that any time you press in Colourlab Ai letter A, you press like a letter S for still images, okay? You're activating this loop. You're activating this analysis, processing, and the result. And that is unique. No other application can do that. No other application can do it, at least not as elegant, as beautiful as we can. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to see how that works. Okay, so you see, I'm going to come here to this shot and I'm going to say, okay, you know what? This is my kind of, you know, my setting. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go and press A. Okay, and when I do press A, this is what happens. It just starts analyzing and processing image and putting it into place. Okay, so what it did now, it then basically went and said, I think Dado, this is the best match for you. This is your reference. This is me. So let's see. You know, I'm going to go now and say 1, ungraded. 2, it's my Rec 709. 3 is my match that I want. Actually, it kind of, you know, it looked like it didn't really, you know, 1 second. That's a good one. And that's a good one. Let me do it one more time. I think I have kind of interrupted it a little bit here. Let me make a little bit more difference so that you can see what is really happening. Okay, so now this is my reference. I'm going to go and press A. It's going to go and analyze these shots, and it's going to go and apply the match. So you see, what also did now, it also pointed to the place where is the best frame for matching. So if you click now onto my, like this kind of, you know, tab here, this little icon that looks like a map, right? It's like it's going to tell you these are frames of interest, we call. Okay, so what are they? This is your darkest frame. This is your brightest frame. This is your average frame that we think it's the average value of the whole frame. This one we think matched the best because you see it kind of, you see it looks the most similar to it, right? And this is a kind of, you know, a worst to reference, this one here, for example. Okay, so now what I can do, you see, and you see what also it did. It moved, yeah, my dials, it moved them in that direction. So you see how each one of these is actually showing me, okay, this is my Rec 709, this is my adjustment. Okay, so you see, this is my Rec 709, this is my adjustment. This is my Rec 709, this is my adjustment. You can see the difference by pressing 2 for Rec 709 and 4 for adjusted image. 2, 4, and you can then see the difference. Look, 2, 4, right? And now I can say, okay, I like it, I don't like it, I can do this. Now, I told you that there is more than one way how to analyze if image has matched, right? What is really important for you? So if you want to check that, what you do is you press enter when you are on the clip. So what happens when I press enter now, it gives me options, okay? And these options, like in DaVinci, when you have like a versions, yeah, with B and N, before option and next option, you can cycle through them, okay? So you can say, oh, maybe RGB actually gave me a better match. You know, I think the RGB is better. RGB is probably going to work better for this scene because look, it really matched the tonality much better for me. How about I apply RGB to all of the clips in this scene? What you do then is you say Command and enter. And what it's going to do is basically going to go and apply that particular match to all of them. But it didn't do a brilliant job on this shot, you see? So I'm going to go and say, all right, give me this shot again. RGB didn't do a very good job because it's completely different, right? But maybe copy only did a very good job here. Fantastic. Now I'm better. Okay. And there we go. We have now these shots going like this. All right. This shot, I still don't think it's so good. You know, I want to tweak it more. I want to go and improve it. What is missing is a little bit contrast. Okay. And it's missing a little bit more saturation. Okay. And I can just go and do that and apply that. The other way how I was able to improve this shot would have been this. I was able to press enter. Now you probably see that I only have a limited amount of choices, and I've deliberately limited them in order to save time. And I'm going to show you where I did that. I have here a button which is more choices. So if I press more choices, it's going to recalculate and add to my processing more options. So for example, you see finals or dailies. Dailies is probably the one that automatically was able to guess and get it to look a little bit better. Okay, so I would say, no, you know what? I'll stick with the dailies one. Okay, so this is a very good way how, you can start now, like, matching and doing the processing. Okay, now the next thing is you say, I really like this shot, right? This I want to put into my gallery. So now this shot is in a gallery, and I want this shot now to be applied to this because they look very similar. I want to have a consistency here. You then click just on the gallery, and you have copied that look. The other option that you can do, you can right mouse click on that shot, okay? And you can say match to shot look. And now it's going to go and apply a match. It's going to say, okay, I'm using this shot as a reference and this one as a target, okay? And then you can also click on enter, and you can see what other options you have here. So you could go and say maybe copy only was better. Maybe I can also open for more choices. Maybe I'm going to just go and see what are the other choices that I have, right? I can maybe use, my dailies method and finals method, theatrical, balance only, RGB, perceptual one, perceptual two. I normally stick to perceptual one. I find that one kind of leads normally to the best results, that this is the one that I really, really like. So I could potentially use just that one. And that is my kind of, like a method of matching normally, like when I just go and say, all right, give me just that one. I don't know why, I just really feel like I'm getting better results just with that. I'm going to add a little bit temperature to this one as well. So just to warm it up a little. Okay. Great. So now that I got these going, I can say, hey, you know what? You're going to be the reference for this one. I'm going to go and match the rest of my shots like that. And it's just going to go and do this and progress and match the rest of the shots. And as you can tell, it's pretty good. Let me see in my scopes with before and after. And yeah, it's doing a pretty good job. And especially you see this shot, I like when you open the control, you see like, how the darkest frame is looking like this and the brightest frame is looking like this. So you can see then the difference, and how best it performed the match. This is maybe one way of doing it, but also what you can do, as a source of matching, you could also use still images, not just material that you just graded. You can go into your reference stills and you can say, you know what? How about maybe I try to match it to this shot? What is this? Assassination of Jesse James. My God, that's looking nice. Then what you do is you press S, okay? And now it's going to try to match it. And you see, it did pretty good job in matching tonality. What in general I find Colourlab Ai with its current engine, it's matching really good tonality, like, overall look, but but it's not very good in matching always contrast. And especially when you have these shots that are difficult, like this one, sky, lights, and all of this, that's sometimes that it's really challenging for it. But, we found a way how to improve it. So we are actually, constantly bringing this new kind of, performance into that. So what I can do now is I can say, hey, let me see like if any one of my models here is going to be giving me better option. RGB, I like it. I know it's not complete match, but it looks really better for my shot. Or what about theatrical? Wow, theatrical, by the way, always keeps your black levels nice and low because, for theatrical grading, you're trying to have a very consistent blacks, right? And that's a really like, why we call it theatrical. RGB is trying to get overall RGB values. It's like, almost like, I call it the German method, you like compare things just in trying to get things right. Perceptual is taking into account all the different perceptual clues that we have. And, our perception is completely different than the RGB. We don't have a light meter in our head. We see things differently. And this is a mathematical method that is using our perception. Really, it's going like, no, shadows are perceived differently if the highlights like this, so it's really putting colors in very much in relation to one another in order to give it an overall balance. And this is one that's really the most advanced. I would say this is one of those methods that people, tend to believe it's actually, what the future of color matching is going to be. I'm going to go now and say, all right, now I'm going to go and match the rest of my shots here. Okay. Now I want to show you like a little bit, how the fine tuning would work. Let me just first analyze, how the rest of the shots have been matched. So let's see this shot. I'm going to go. It's looking pretty good. Okay. Let's see 4, looking nice. 2. Yeah, it just did the right amount. You see how it took off all this kind of, redness out of her face and made it as moody as this one. This one here. Yeah. And it just kind of applied the tonality. So it's pretty good like that. But this shot, it didn't really do a very good job because it's so different, in terms of the contrast and everything. I could apply a little bit more choices just to see what it's going to happen here. Okay, let me see. Okay, so yeah, they all look a little bit like, like a maybe RGB only. RGB probably it gave me like a pretty close shape. By the way, anytime you want to bring back your scopes, you press tilde. Tilde is this button just before underneath escape. When you press that, then you can bring scopes. So I could be looking at my reference stills, I press tilde and I'm back at the scopes. Okay, I think it really did a good job. We tried to watch, get the balance. You see highlight is the same and shadow is the same, but I still think that, I would want to open it up a little bit. So just that I can see more detail and, I would want to, basically do it like this potentially. I want to just really get the shot to be, even though it's not matching perfectly, to my eye, it should look more like this with a little bit more saturation. I think we're going to be up somewhere near there. Now I feel more better. I can see the biker and all of that. And now here, what I can do is say, well, you know what? I'm just going to copy this grade. Command C, boom, Command V, and I just copy the grade. Or what I could do is this, I could say, I selected the shot that I want as a reference, and I right mouse click, and I say, match this shot using currently previewed shot. And now it's going to go and match these two instead of using my reference. And actually, it kind of tried to do it pretty like, it's same thing. It has a little bit like of a contrast balancing here going on. Okay, so now let's say I've got now through the balancing, but you know what? I really want to give my image much better look. I don't want to just do RGB balancing. I want to really give it a look. And we are big on giving you all the creativity so you can build amazing looks. We really want you to be able to, how would I say, be able to very quickly design beautiful looks. This is what it's all about, right? Okay, so maybe I'm going to use this shot. I quite like this one to kind of show you what is the power of that look design. You go into show looks now. And a show looks is like something that you want to set one for the whole sequence or for the whole show or for the whole series. You want to have a single show look. Okay. You can start with presets. There are some filmic presets like this. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. These are all different options, that you have that you can use as a starting point. And they are all based on very intricate methodology of film processing, analog film processing. We are perfectly emulating analog films. And as you will agree, very quickly, you're going to get some results, some really good results. Okay. But you don't want to just limit yourself to presets. Okay. That's not really what it's about. You can click on the preset. Okay. And you can say, hey, listen, I want to edit this look. And you say, edit with look designer. Okay, now I am presented with an option. Edit a duplicate. Yes, because these are presets, you can't, modify actual preset. It's asking you to make a duplicate. Okay, you can derive a new. Derive a new means is this. We're going to take this look, but we're going to put it on the side and give you completely blank canvas. So you'll still have this look. And on top of that look, you can start building something on top. So there is a difference. Edit duplicate means I'm going to copy this clip and all the presets that are in that clip are available to you and you can edit them. Derive new means, oh, you're editing on top of this look, okay? And, or you can say, I want a completely empty new look, right? So no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just say edit duplicate. So what you see now is all the parameters that were used to create this look. So let me show you what they are. Here, what we got is negative. And like in film processing, you know, you first choose on what negative you want to shoot on. What's the negative? Okay, so negative is going to be basically, in my case, Kodak 5203 Vision 350D. By the way, these are super accurately sampled film stocks. This is not just a finger in the air. We worked with companies that are, you know, specialized in film scanning and film processing in order to derive this metadata. But what we did is we have optimized it to the native color space of our application, which is our XLOC. Okay, so this is like a really the next generation. And then what you can do, you can then move your B and N, and you can then cycle through different negative looks, and you can choose which one of those you want. Look, I can go and say, oh my God, I love this look. What is this? Ah, this is the one, 5203 I selected. Great. And you just press enter. And now you selected that look. Or you can just click on the arrows here and you can do the same effect. You can just click on the arrows. Or you can click here and you can select which one you want. By the way, we also support Lutify Me website. If you have an account, go to Lutify Me, build yourself a look and bring it in and import it here. We support that as well. Okay. The next thing then we're going to do here, hey, I want to print it. But what we did is we separated printing process into two elements, contrast and the print stock. And basically they used to be all in one. But the reason why we separated them, because we want to give you a little bit more freedom. We want you to choose. Maybe this is not the contrast that I want. And the same thing is going here. I can just go like this. I can say 2393. Very flat looking. Oh my God, I love this flat one actually. You know, this really feels really nice to me. Or I can go for an S2. You know, S2 is like a normal shaped kind of, you know, S curves, you know, like they are like what you normally get with a, you know, any one of those. All right. So I can say, or I can go for more other filmic options. Look, I have all of those options. They're like an F1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are sampled from different print film stocks. Fuji 3510, as the name suggests, it's from actual film print stock, right? Kodak 2393, this is a super high contrast stock. You know, you really have to know, you have to select this before you start if you want the stock to look very good, all right? And then, you know, you have here flat looks, you know, that you want to choose. So I can say, okay, maybe I'll just stick with S2. You know what? I think this one looks best for me. And that's a beauty that you can separate those. And then here you can choose what is the stock I want to print to, right? And I can then decide any one of those stocks. You know, as I said, I can just click on each one of them like this. Now something's happening here. Okay, come back. Perfect. Let's go. All right. Now I can go and say, oh, this is a generic stock. This is Fuji. I was on print 2398, you know. No, sorry. Now was it on 2383? This is the one I really liked. Okay. What is super important that if you are going to be working in film print, please use film print emulation. Okay, this is the post-processing part. You have FPE stands for film print emulation, because if you don't, your image is just going to be oozing with color. Maybe that's the look you want, but it's not going to be accurate. You know, if you want to really say, no, this is accurate film profiling, it's not going to look accurate. You have to put on film print emulation to get accurate parametric results that you were normally getting. And here we have a ENR. It's a process invented in Technicolor Rome, which is what Vittorio Storaro came up with. It's like a type of bleach bypass. These are the only two post-processing. We keep adding to it. You know, we're working now on a new version of Look Designer. There's going to be more options. All right. So now we say this is it. Now you say, I really like this look, but maybe I want to just, you know, tweak it a little bit. So what you can say is you can take this kind of, you know, global setting here. And with this global setting, you can then switch between just the Rec 709, you know, and the look you want. So you can kind of tweak it to your liking and say, hey, I don't want to like just a full look. I can just slowly blend in between the two. And I can say, maybe this is the one. Okay. Here we have temperature dial. Now be careful, this is very different temperature than the temperature we saw on the primaries. This temperature is going to be available in every look you apply to, so be careful how you're using it. This temperature also emulates the film scanner temperature light. And normally this was always D60, not D65. So you can actually emulate a little bit and give it more or less temperature. right? You can also see without temperature dial what it would look like. Here you have a subtractive, and you know, this is something, this is the magic really, like, you know, where you are emulating your own film emulsion density. And it just gives you this beautiful, rich looking looks. I'm going to go deeper one day about, you know, how to make this looks. For the moment, you know, let me just kind of, you know, rush through this so that I just really show you all of that stuff. Perfect. Now I'm happy. This is my look. I'm just going to exit it now. Please give it a name. So this is my training one, I'm going to say, okay. And now I got that looking great. It's going to create a file. It's encrypted file. You know, it's going to be only available to you unless you export it. I'm going to say, this is my reference. Please go ahead and match the rest of the scene. And boom, it's going to go and do exactly that. So check it out. This is now my, you know, CDL, my showlat, and this is now the matched shot. CDL, showlat, matched shot. Rec 709 look, final look. Rec 709, final look. Okay, now you can see it totally, like, you know, applied and matched the rest of the shots, you know, to your timeline. Okay, so let's say I matched it. I'm happy to do it. You're all probably aware of it. If you're not, I'm going to show you next time how we sync it with the DaVinci Resolve. You can just send everything to DaVinci Resolve. In this training, I want to give you some other options that you have, so on. So let me just go through all of the options that you have to export. Okay, if you want to just export your showlat because you like this look and you want to load it in your camera or something like that, right mouse click, you say export as a cube. Okay, and that will save you just a showlat as a cube. So when you build looks, you can just quickly, like, you know, export them and use them for anything else you want. Okay, now if you say, I want to get the whole look, showlat and CDL exported, that what you do then is right mouse click here and you say export lat. So this is now going to export the whole look, CDL and lat together. Okay, so that's the one. Another thing that you can do as well, you can render everything out, which is probably what many people do at the moment when they do, you know, round tripping. You click here and you can render a shot, you can render scene, or you can render all shots. I'm just going to select one just to show you what options they are. These are the codecs: ProRes 422, ProRes 444, H.264, or H.265. Okay, and you can render in a native resolution, whatever came in is going to come out, or you can render 1920, 1080, or UHD. These are also the ones. And then also what you want to do is you want to render in particular color space, because DaVinci is color managed. And you say, oh, I want to render everything in as a HDR. No problem. You just click on it and say HDR 10. And now all of your rendering is going to go in that particular format. So this is a super, you know, like a useful thing for you know, like a being able, you know, to you know, create maybe quickly HDR dailies or whatever you want to do. Okay, let me just try to move my bar a little bit here. Okay, fantastic. The next thing you have, you can also save just a still, right? So I can click on this button and I can say, hey, can I please just save the still? And it's going to save you exactly this still frame, but it's going to give you all the naming convention and the time code that you're using for that at the moment. So this is great. And another thing you can do, you can save a PDF. The PDF is basically like what we call a look deck, okay? And it's going to give you this shot and all the other shots looking really beautifully with color palette and everything like that. So this is a really good one, right? And then here in the export menu, you have other options. You can, you know, because I was working in advanced method, I don't have an ALE, which is for Avid. If you work in a simple method, I'm going to show in my next class what that means. And then also I can export CDL and LUTs. This is used usually for baselight workflows. And then, you know, I would also have an option to resolve sync, because I'm not using Resolve at the moment. This stuff is not popping up. Okay, so I think, you know, I run through everything I wanted to show you on this particular class. You know, I think that was good, an hour. I think this is exactly what I planned. Now let me go ahead, guys, and take some of your questions. Okay. So Justin's asking, any chance to work with Blackmagic for B-RAW export? Okay, Justin, you will never find any color grading application that can save stuff in RAW. RAW is created only by the camera. You have to have a CMOS sensor to generate RAW. So I can't export, but we do support fully B-RAW. You can just click on it and you can just use B-RAW, no problem at all. You can open it. Generation 5 is also supported. So this is also a thing. Are you planning to incorporate with Autodesk Flame? We are actually, and we're going to see how best to do this. One of our options is probably going to work for them. We just have to discuss with them what would be the best thing to do. Okay, the Resolve HDR palette, how will project interact with this? It does not have any problem to interact with HDR palette. When you bring it back, you can start using HDR and it's just going to work perfectly. So you don't have any issues with that. There is a particular workflow how you want to work. We call it a scene referred way, where you are, instead of exporting everything as Rec 709, you export it as, here is the setting, DaVinci wide gamut. And if you do this, then your show lot is going to be in DaVinci wide gamut, and then DaVinci can continue color managing from then on. So you can tap all of this workflow into DaVinci's color managed workflow. Okay, so this is the answer for that. Hey Dado, can you send to Resolve copy settings to Node with Look Designer rather than a lot? That's amazing question. We are working on it. This is exactly what we're building right now. What you can do is this, Vaz. Look, we generate one file. So I'll show you now. If I click here on a showlet and I say reveal in Finder, these are a special XO1 files. These XO1 files, you're going to be able to read inside the Look Designer. So this is happening. This is coming, and it's going to happen very quickly. Okay. All righty. Is there more Windows questions? Thank you for more Windows questions. I have to say, I'm gonna pay myself $1 each time someone asks a Windows question. I wanna just get that going, Suggestion: H.265 should be 10-bit for banding. Okay, so that is a limitation we have. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to write it down. I know that we had that limitation. Hey, Michael, how are you doing? Very good. I'm going to write it down. No problem. So it is going to be, 1 second, 10-bit H.265. Yeah. We are, by the way, using native kind of, Apple's rendering workflow, and they seem to have limited it, but we'll see this. The PDF is one of my favorite features. Thanks you, Jamie. The very start might have been cut off, but he did record. Okay, thank you, Ian. Later, yes. For European keyboard, this is a tilde is what is that? Thank you, Marcello. Perfect. There is no old recordings. We're going to just actually start publishing these, guys. So just so you know, all of these recordings is happening. So guys, by the way, if you click here on help, there is now something which is called Colourlab AI manual. And if you click on that, it's going to open, beautifully crafted manual, with everything, as you would expect it to be. How to activate, how to do everything, searchable as well. So you can say whatever DaVinci, and it's just going to show you, or every time we mention DaVinci, what to do and stuff like this. So everything as you would want from a manual. Wow, I love it. Now we're looking like a real professional application, isn't it? Now we have a manual as well. All right. So let's see next thing. Soren, Stream Deck versions are supported. Yeah. Is there any questions, guys, that you've seen that you want me to answer that I have not necessarily, that you have not answered here? Okay, I have some new messages. Let's see. Excellent. You can download the manual here. Okay, perfect, guys. Okay, great. So this is just the first one, as I said, I'm going to be building this more, we're going to be start doing more intricate DaVinci workflows. I'm also going to be, keeping these recordings on the website, so that you can guys rewatch it as well.